Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Hotline League. It is the NA greater than EU special. I have received feedback about my audio, and I hope that it is fixed, so please let me know in the comments if it is, or on Twitter or whatever. So many people would reach out and say, hey, I want to fix your microphone, and then I would say sure, and then they would never follow up. That's just the way it is these days. Either way, we've got exciting stuff to talk about that doesn't involve my technology, and that stuff is how, once again, LCS is the greatest Western region in existence, indisputably. And if you're listening to this later on in the week, I hope that's still true, because I think in about 48 hours, less than that, maybe 36 hours, I might be able to say something different. But right now, I can say this, and I'm excited to say it. I'll be saying it all week long, well, all episode long. Either way, let me introduce my co-host for the episode. It's none other than Cubby. How's it going, Cubby?
Great. I've actually got two guests over at the house right now who are fellow Canadians that know Raz quite well. And they had a message for you, and it involved a Talony. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But
let's just say they want me to be very well versed in parkour.
yeah, exactly. So,
what is
anyway.
this? Did I miss this? What's happening?
Yeah, we have, so one of my NACL co-casters, Beatdown, is over with someone else we used to work with, Lena. So they're staying here for a little bit, and they're going to explore LA, so that's fun. I finished Fallout, Travis. Fantastic.
Finally.
Yeah, I know. We were waiting on episode 8 for... I mean, we actually waited about a week between episodes 7 and 8 to finish.
Yeah.
But episode 8 was fire. That show was really good, and I'm really looking forward to likely season 2. No spoilers, but... the likely season 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, that so I mean I highly recommend watching it actually. And then also I started for the third time again watching with someone else The Wire, which is my favorite show of all time. So yes, Raz knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
As a fan of the games, I won't give any spoilers other than to say I was very excited by the little thing that they teased at the end of the show. So
yes.
Yeah. But again, the show's great. You should watch it without having played the games, even if you haven't played the games. Highly recommend. Well, I'm glad you watched it. That's pretty good. How about you, Raz? Where have you been? I haven't seen you around LA for a bit.
As you can tell, I'm in what seems like a cave. I need help. No, I'm in Chengdu, China.
You're at MSI. So
wow.
I consume MSI exclusively through Sneaky and Meteos co-streams, and I guess it makes sense because whenever the game's on, I'm watching. But the moment that the Nexus explodes, Meteos opens an ARAM, Sneaky opens Hades 2, and then that's just what I'm doing for the next 20 minutes. So I'm glad to hear that you made it to MSI.
Thank you. Of course, the most consumed part of the broadcast. Let me tell you.
What's the trip been like? What's Chengdu been like? I mean, I have been, it's been nice to have the place to myself as Kobe's gone, and I've definitely had some fun stuff. In fact, by the way, I'm going to be in Vancouver. Speaking of Canada, I'm going to be in Vancouver on Friday and Saturday for Command Fest Vancouver. So if anybody wants to hang out with me, they can use code Travis. I don't get paid money for that, but you can save some money on your tickets. Either way, I've been sad to not be in Chengdu, and so please let me live vicariously through you. What has the experience been like? What's Chengdu like? What's the event like? Let me know.
It's been an incredible experience, actually. This location, I've been here before in 2018 spring. LPL finals. It's the same venue in which Uzi won his first LPL championship. It's the same area that's close to, I forget what it's called. It's like the something center. It's like the huge global center. The global center. It's like the largest building in the world by square meter. It just feels like a mall city. But the hotel is about 10 minutes,
Oh, we're losing. Before the start of the show, we had some times where Raz's audio would cut out a little bit. I think because of firewall internet. But hopefully, whenever this happens on the show, we'll just mute him a little bit. So hopefully, it won't be that bad. But I'm glad to hear that you're near a mall, Raz. Okay. All right. I'm gonna mute you again for now. Okay. So Cubby, what have you
Yeah.
thought of MSI so much recently?
This tournament's been great. I will say that I've watched all the games. I do have to catch up on my reviews because I was co-streaming CLOL, which is going on right now. But I think this tournament, like, I don't think I agree with some people saying like, oh, this is the best international tournament of all time. But it's like, you got to say that it's been quite exciting. Like, I think that we are in a scenario where I really feel like, I said coming into this, I felt like the Eastern teams felt like sent the 4 best teams they could. I thought 3 out of the 4 of those teams had a really good chance to win, with like top likely like being the 4th that could still win. But I think the performance that we've seen from some of the other teams in the tournament, like even PSG, who are knocked out by now, like, it's been a fun tournament. And I know that like some people are tilted about the meta or lane swaps. Personally, I don't have a problem with them. I've been actually really enjoying seeing how teams are able to actually execute lane swaps, because I think a lot of teams aren't doing it well right now. And there are some games where like, if you do it better, you just win. So I've actually found the tournament to be quite fun. And I think that with the teams that we have left, there is a feeling where we do have favorites. Like, obviously, the winner of BLG Gen G goes straight to finals, but I don't think anyone's declared like, oh, this team is winning for sure, you know? And I'm curious to see how the rest of this tournament goes. So, yeah.
Yeah. Raz, are you back yet with us?
I'm pretty sure I am,
Yes,
but I'm
you
not
are, yeah.
sure. You have to tell me.
No, you are. So yeah, I
yeah.
mean, what have you thought of the whole lane swap stuff of the tournament, etc.? Obviously, I asked about Chengdu, but what do you think of the event?
I mean, I don't fan of it. I mean, personally, I've always loved lane swaps when it was in meta. But the reason why I don't like it is it was kind of sort of introduced during playoffs when NIP was like, you could actually do this thing. And then, so now every team is judged based off of how you can actually perform during lane swaps, but you were not during the regular season tested on lane swaps. The patches, I would say, for some teams to be able to drill that in, teams was like 15 days because they're play and they had to move on, to, like, to get into the boot camp mode. So it feels like lane swaps were teams last second. You have to be really fucking good at it. So I'm probably sure some teams that were actually really solid didn't jump to it when it could. You can say that's just them not being good enough, because it's you could possibly do it beforehand. And then the other thing is just for the problem with lane swaps is that if you're good enough at it, if you're better than the other team at it, you're worse enough laners at it, you succeed. And you can have about 8 minutes or so of just straight up non-interactive gameplay. Just so fun to me. Because Riot has introduced, they made dragons more appealing for teams to. Rift Trails more appealing to. They created grubs so you can fight over early. And then for the 3 patches in which you can go from playoffs to actual MSI, they're like, you know what, lane swaps, uninteractive gameplay, we're fine with that. Now we got into the stage of the tournament where teams are all at the same, like, pretty decent levels at it, that it's not deciding games. So teams are actually going to proper lanes more.
Oh, we're losing you.
Yeah.
So close. This is what we get for trying to have somebody on from MSI. But yeah, it sounds like you're saying we're getting to the part in the tournament where like things are getting a little bit more enjoyable to watch versus the beginning with lane swaps. Yeah. All right. So, no, we don't have you back. Okay. We'll see. Hopefully this gets better. We might also try to experiment with just cutting your video, though. What was interesting is earlier I feel like it was doing this regardless, so it's maybe just like a weird Discord routing issue through the VPN, or whatever it is that you're using. Yeah. All right. So while we figure out that situation, Cubby, I know we're starting a little bit late, so we should probably try to hop into calls pretty quickly. Do you want to give the spiel?
Yeah, if you guys want to call on in, go to discord.gg/Travis. You can also have command Discord, so !Discord, in either YouTube or Twitch chat to get the Discord up in your chat. Join at me, at Cubby, with your take. And if it's good, we'll pull you in the waiting room, and then we'll drag you on in to talk with Travis and Raz. So we only have a couple so far. Obviously, we have MSI going on right now. I also pulled a question that's like kind of Raz-focused, but... it's weird. We haven't gotten a ton of news. I I think the only like weird controversy would be what's going on with K Corp fan base, which is just dumb. But that's kind of funny. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I mean, I don't know if we're gonna talk too much
I don't want
about
to pull that.
yeah
Yeah,
LEC stuff, but
there's really not much going on.
yeah, chat. Let us know if there's anything we're forgetting. But obviously, MSI. There's a lot going on in that MSI is going on, but it's not. It has been a
You guys
relatively.
talked about this Zen thing, right?
Oh yeah, the
Oh,
Dignitas stuff.
yeah,
Thank you.
that is news. That is news.
And
yeah.
someday retired, in the
Yeah.
MRM.
Yeah.
So, but Sven got. It's not. Is it? Did they officially announce it yet, or is this a Sheep Esports? Yeah,
No,
Sheep
that's
No,
the
it's
Esports.
league. That's the Sheep Esports.
Yeah, Sheep Esports, and then wasn't there a something that did get? I'm trying to remember when the other Dignitas situation got announced. Was that before the last
I
episode?
mean,
or
Licorice got announced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Licorice is official, and then I think Treats is still rumored
something? Okay.
as assistant coach. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, then we can talk about the Dignitas stuff. So,
Yeah.
please, if folks want to talk about that, let us know because that's exciting stuff that is happening back in North America while everything else is happening in Chengdu. So, but yeah, so we'll be doing that. Couple quick notes. Yes, as I mentioned before, I will be in Vancouver this weekend. Please come out and say hi if you're interested in doing that. I'll be at Command Fest on Friday and Saturday. I'm going up to Seattle tomorrow, actually. So I know it's been a bit of a content drought for me this month, and I apologize, but hopefully things start to pick back up. But it will be a quiet week because I'll be in Seattle doing a little bit of travel for my birthday, which is this ahead of Sunday, which is going to be kind of the cool thing I get to do next. So, but yeah, should be some cool things coming up. Regardless, Cubby, do you want to go grab the first caller?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, Travis, is I can talk through Skype. That one doesn't need a VPN.
Dude, I know. That's what I'm thinking. I actually, like, if you can hear the caller just fine, I guess the caller would not be able to hear you is the challenge. But yeah, funny that Skype is working a lot better than Discord. All right, we got rawnblade here. Rawnblade, where are you calling from?
Sydney, Australia.
Sydney, Australia, returning to the show. What would you like to talk about on the show tonight?
So this MSI is the West's best chance at going far in a tournament in a while because it seems it's a really inconsistent tournament. I'm finding it virtually impossible to know which team is better than which other team on any given day.
So you're just saying, generally speaking, this has been sort of the most unpredictable show or for a bit or event.
Yeah. I feel like in previous tournaments, it's like, I mean, there's always generally a Chinese team that bombs out randomly at Worlds, but you generally know like a few teams that you can be pretty solid in, but it feels like very hard to get a read. You know, we were like, okay, PSG lost to FlyQuest. FlyQuest obviously better than them. Then PSG beats them. Then it's like PSG takes BLG super close, and you're like, oh, I guess PSG is good. Then G2 stomps them. G2 looks really good against T1. But you know, can't clutch it out. T1 you think is like on the up and up, then they struggle against BLG. I mean, some of this is our stronger teams rising to the top, but you know, if you looked at BLG versus PSG, you wouldn't be like, cool, they're going to have an easy time against T1, but they made that look relatively straightforward. So it's like just very hard to know where people are up to.
Yeah. Well, I think you like. What do you think about the idea that it's still an LCK show at the end of the day?
Also, like, define a while.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
5 years.
Around that. I mean, because I've been watching for so long, I kind of forget how long ago stuff was. But
Yeah.
I mean, certainly, like we're 5 years away now from a time when EU teams are making finals and A teams are making semifinals at Worlds or MSI. So I say a few years.
I mean, I could see like even in 2020, like that G2 team was still competitive. I mean, what they dropped to M1 in that bracket, and they ended up going far. I think for me, like I look at this and the old MSI format, it's literally the team. It's literally the teams that are left. Like it's
that's
but
true.
minus like we used to have like whoever won the wildcard region, but now it's just a second LPL and LCK team. So I'd say that like G2 and TL for me have gotten to about where the expectation was. And I think along the way, G2 has performed, even though they had the highest expectation, I think they've still beaten my expectations so far. I think G2 like has a chance to do something special, but I don't expect them to get further than what they're at now. I think they win this next matchup 3-2. I think the hardest thing is that it's Hans against JackeyLove, but G2 doesn't rely on their AD carry to win games. And as long as they can neutralize JackeyLove, I do think it's winnable for them. And I think that what they've been playing is pretty unique and might be able to like throw a curveball at Top Esports. Also, I don't think Top like they're a team where I feel like they don't get enough credit actually for their mid game. As I've watched them throughout the tournament, I think their mid game is quite good. So I don't think G2 can find advantages there, but I do think G2 can find advantages in draft and how they play out early game. And maybe that's enough edge to get them over Top. If they get through Top, their tournament ends. I don't think they're going further than that. And that's kind of like my issue about where things are at.
But don't you feel like teams are just performing wildly differently day to day? I don't know if it's a format thing or if it's just how seriously they were taking their opponents thing, but it just feels, the BLG that struggles to get across the line against PSG, like, is not the BLG that is playing against T1. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't you think it's possible that G2 gets any of these teams on the wrong day and then they can just go through them?
I can answer and just say that I do agree with the caller. I mean, 2020 for sure was a better situation for, and I'm not just going to say the West. I think just for G2. G2 is the team that I think has been really the only other Western team that has been performing internationally. And right now, I would say they can take test 3-1. I think Caps right now, Caps and Broken Blade, that top side of the map is performing extremely well. I think as a team, they have a pretty solid understanding of what their identity is. I think they're drafting incredibly well. They should have beat T1, and I think if that rematch happens again, which should happen again, I think they do beat T1, which means that like that is honestly the best we've seen, quote unquote, a Western team, which is just G2, do in a very long time. It's reminiscent of 2019. So I agree with you in this case. And I think the whole team getting the best of another team on a certain day is just really just some teams fucking suck at.
Oh, I feel like Raz gets 60 seconds and then he gets cut off every time. It's very funny. All right, so sorry, folks. We're gonna figure this out.
I think what Raz is trying to get into, I'll let him like finish the point, but like now that lane swaps have been more figured out, it's you don't get the same edge that you could have gotten earlier in the tournament. So yeah, that's also a decent. Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Raz, are you back? No, he's not. Okay, so but I do want to ask Cubby, how much of a like crazy thing? How much will it play into the caller's take whenever Team Liquid beats G2?
I mean, we're talking about like hope for the West, right? I think that if TL beat G2, that would actually be a big deal because, as Raz said, it really has only been G2 that has a real chance for the last like few years. So I actually think like if TL were to take down G2, that would be a huge deal. Because A, it also means they took down T1 on the way there, which is even the bigger deal, you know?
Yeah. All right, caller. Thank you so much for your take. I think it's fair to say that it's been a little unexpected, and that, but overall, like nothing major. You know, it's perhaps a surprising and unexpected tournament within the context of League of Legends esports, where LPL and LCK are just expected to perform this well, and like it's just kind of an upset if something goes awry one way or the other. But I think, on a broad level, maybe not as surprising. But anything you wanted to add here that we missed?
I think PSG taking BLG close really through for me. Like that was one of the big ones in terms of upsetting my tournament expectations, and then just the idea that like Fnatic were able to take a game off Top Esports, but then were beaten by TL. That also kind of, threw me a bit, I suppose, in terms of things following what should be the natural order. But so yeah, I think it has like game to game, it's felt more surprising maybe, even though as couple of years saying if we still end up with top 4 is LCK LPL.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how things go. So thanks so much. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Yeah, a couple of quick shout outs. One is just, I know he's getting a lot of praise for it, but wanted to shout out Yon for his end of spring finals interview. I think something that people have really missed in their praise is how he didn't actually even refer to Inspired and Weepo by name. He just referred to FlyQuest Top Jungle talking a lot of shit. It was like the perfect shade. Incredible work. And then finally, just to you, Travis, and for the decision you've made around covering the Esports World Cup, I don't know. I was just seeing some stuff in my Twitter feed about Saudi Arabia that was really frustrating and upsetting to me. And so I really appreciate the stance you're taking. And it's really, I don't know. I know it's tough out there in esports at the moment, and you're very dedicated to your sponsors. So I think I don't take it for granted that you made that choice. And it's definitely making me rethink how I feel about some of the other orgs. So yeah, just appreciate you taking a stand on that one.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that because it's, I mean, especially now, I think that the video's been out for a bit. There's definitely some comments that are still coming in kind of late in the game from folks that are hearing about it and being angry with me. So I appreciate hearing that from somebody who calls in frequently. So thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, cheers. Have a good one.
All right. Oh, we're
Travis,
going to
can I just speak on Skype?
Discord.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Go for it.
Also, while I grab the next caller, if like Raz maybe wants to fill in what he was missing there, that could be a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, how am I right now?
Oh boy, that is very loud. Yeah, your gain is crazy. Did it change it again?
Oh, I did actually.
Yeah.
Skype is perfect. There we go. How about now?
It's a little quiet. If you can turn it up just a bit.
Okay. There it is.
Yeah. Cool.
75.
Go ahead and say what you were going to say.
Yeah, I just think now that teams have gotten a pretty solid understanding of lane swap. Wait, I'm just hearing on an echo.
Oh, I don't know.
That's
Maybe
weird.
Discord is sending it back through again. Go ahead and say something.
Yeah, I mean, now that pretty much it was just going through a lane swap, I think the games have been a lot more enjoyable. And yeah, G2, even if G2 loses before top 4, it's still a much more competitive MSI. So it's still, I would say, the closest the West has been to the top. But I still do believe they'll get past top esports and they'll get past T1. And that Team Liquid will have a pretty good series versus T1.
Very good.
They'll lose, but they'll have a good series.
All right. So we're going to do something weird. Raz, I think whenever a caller is in the room, if you can unmute on Discord and try to talk there, and we'll see how it goes. And then maybe whenever the caller's not there, because otherwise they won't be able to hear you. But we do have our next caller here. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name's Thomas. Aklon's the username, but Thomas, and I am from New York State. I am calling about that the problem with NA is not the lack of domestic talent. The problem is the lack of commitment to NA talent. 2018 C9, which made it the farthest that NA's ever made it to Worlds, had Sneaky, Licorice, Zazel, Golden Glue, and Blabber on it. And NRG and TL in the past year have committed to that NA talent and consecutively beaten EU when they've faced them at international. It's time to remove this narrative that NA cannot compete at the international stage.
When you're saying NA talent can't compete at the international stage
Yes.
versus like LCS, right?
Yes, NA talent specifically.
Is there okay? I don't feel like there's a narrative that NA talent can't compete. I feel like there's a take or a narrative that like LCS can't compete. You know, whenever I hear people talk about this, they're not like, oh, North American talent's not good enough. They're just usually just saying like, oh, LCS sucks, dead region, blah blah blah. So do you feel as though it's targeted more towards NA talent?
I think it is. I think it's both in some ways because I mean I don't think Double Lift gave us a good rap with his spring doesn't matter mentality, and I think people took that to heart over time, at least in my personal opinion. So I think that a lot of people might see, you know, similar to like the American mentality or like the lazy American or the lazy Californian or something along those ways, that people aren't actually putting in the effort when APA shows he's a grinder. Jan shows that he's very capable, although new. And sure, I understand that TL does have some Korean imports on it, but having domestic talent and then helped with international talent, I think is the most American thing you can do is to put together a melting pot of a team and then compete internationally.
Yeah, I like the take overall. I think it's just I worry that you're arguing against like a sentiment that doesn't like okay. Normally where
No, the
I
sentiment
see
exists. The
what
sentiment exists. What the hell? We just had like a few years where the entire LCS orgs were like, yeah, there's no talent down there. Let's not have teams. What the hell? Of course the sentiment exists.
Yeah.
That's
but
why we were
Raz, I'm
celebrating the fact that both APA and Yon succeeded under the circumstances that. I mean, it depends where you're saying the narrative is coming from.
yeah, I'm saying that I think that team owners feel like they can't win the LCS with North American talent. I don't even think that at this point in time they're like, oh, like it used to be the case that they were like, oh, we're going to import all this talent so that we can go win worlds. And now I feel like they import talent because they feel like they can't build a competitive LCS roster. And so I don't
I mean,
even
if
I
that's
feel
the
like we're
same
skipping
thing.
ahead of ourselves.
Isn't that the same thing? They think they're not good enough to win at LCS. Why would they enough to do well internationally? They just think that the LCS or the North American players aren't good enough.
Because
that's what I've
because
heard.
The caller is
constantly.
using the international performance as the sentiment for like why this is correct. By the way, I'm not saying that this is wrong.
Okay, let's have this discussion. Let's just have this discussion because I
Okay.
agree with the caller. By the
Okay.
way, like I completely agree with the caller. So like I think that there's been a constant narrative that players coming in from academy or NACL or whatever you want to call it are just not good enough, and it's actually surprising that it's the teams that have succeeded with that system that have believed that. I think Cloud9, if you actually go through Cloud9's history of the players that they brought in through their through academy and NACL, like
We had a call about
it's
this
been
too.
through their own. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been through their own system. Blabber, their own system. Fudge, even though he's been brought in from academy, through their own system.
Mhm.
Like the players that they've succeeded with, by the way. So it's like cheaper for them. And I'm at this point, I was just bullying Cloud9, but like Dig, Immortals, these teams that should absolutely like be pushing for academy and NACL prospects. Immortals, they did, but not well. So it's like at the end of the day, how you win and how you succeed and not pay an exorbitant amount of money is by really investing in the talent. Because if Team Liquid stopped at the same point that other teams would have stopped, hell, a lot of teams would have stopped at APA a long time ago. They didn't. He's pretty good. Young.
Oh, we lost you, Rez.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put Raz on break for a second and just hop in here. So I think that what Raz is saying, Raz and I are arguing semantics. I think in the earlier part, right? Because I obviously agree with the sentiment, given the fact that if you look at the Reddit front page, it's a clip that I took from last week, where Sven was talking about the destruction of North America of the Tier 2 system and how it's like bad for North America. I think. I won't spend too much time on this because I think it actually doesn't make a better conversation. But my only point is that like I don't feel that the international success that the teams are having is actually the thing that like the LCS GMs and folks are going to look at and be like, oh, it's about North American talent. I think the bigger thing that annoyed me this week, and I look, it's funny. I punch at Steve from TL probably the most out of any of the team owners here, even though I think I appreciate him a lot and feel like he's one of the few folks that are still tuned in the league. So I want to caveat that by saying like I actually really do like Steve and what he does. But it was so crazy to me to see him tweet earlier this week. I'm going to pull it up because it's so funny.
He invested in the academy.
Yes, Steve
did for
goes,
this team.
we invested in academy and just beat EU at MSI. Spawn, you're a freaking beast. 100% true. 100% great to call out. Also, 1 year ago was when all the team owners, including Steve, voted to remove the requirement for academy. And Steve's justification was you don't get good enough talent out of academy. That was his like public statement about it. Is that like the academy system is not bringing out good enough talent, and it's just like, buddy, like you told everybody that this system doesn't create good enough talent. Like maybe he's on some Machiavellian bullshit where he's like, aha, I will get all of my competitors to uninvest from the tier 2 system so that I could be the person who uses it. I mean, I like to one part of me thinks that that would be terrible if we did that, but another part of me thinks like, okay, at least that would make sense that you could now go on Twitter and brag about this stuff. But like, how could you say no, we shouldn't require teams to invest in this because it can't produce good talent, and then go out and brag about how your continued investment in that system has produced good talent? Like, it's so wild to me. And so anyway, I agree with the sentiment from the caller. I agree with Raz's sentiment, which is like it is dated, and I even Sven, who is notably an EU import player, is out there publicly on the show talking about how like we don't need to just keep, the solution isn't to import and to kill our tier 2 system. So it's, I don't know, it's just very funny.
Europe is having that same problem right now. It's actually
Yes.
hilarious.
Yes, it is, because like it's so funny because G2 is the team that's winning with everyone that's native, and then every other team is importing to try and compete, and it's getting way worse. So there's a lot of levels to this. I somewhat agree with the caller. I do want to say one thing though. I don't think that pros I think that pros for the most part do work hard. I really do. And I think APA and Yawn get credit for being grinders because they go above and beyond. The baseline for these guys is 12 plus hours a day, right? That is pretty crazy compared to your average job. Dodo saying that he has to limit the amount of games that Yawn plays, I think is actually a very good solution for TL. They actually think that Yawn was playing too many games last year, right? That's the kind of person that this is, right? And I respect what TL has done, and I'll give credit to Dodo and Steve because they talk a lot and pitch a lot about how they want the hardest workers in the room. And over time, that's paid off for TL. Now, what Steve wanted was he wanted more one and dones from Academy and NACL to Pro. So I find it funny that Yawn is someone that they stuck with for a couple years, waited to promote, didn't have a great first year, did win Rookie of the Year in what was a pretty not a ton of competition, and now is starting to play much better in year 2, right? Or even Sven's giving him more credit for how he's playing in year 2. I think the biggest thing is that these guys need time sometimes, if you actually want to invest in a player, you're going to have to give the player time. And this is something where I feel like that's where EU actually has gotten things right. They had a deep pool, and their tier 2 was very competitive to the point where they could give players time at both level and see if they're able to pan out. And I think the biggest thing, again, that I'll give TL credit for is that I feel like they gave these guys a good amount of time. No one wanted them to stick with Yawn and APA going into year 2. There were not a lot of people that wanted that, and TL believed in their own sauce. They stuck with them, and it's paying off for them, right? That's huge, and I think TL deserves all the credit in the world for that. But I think the other biggest thing is go Rez.
Oh, sorry, go on.
No,
you continue. Okay.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not a talent issue. It is a scouting issue, and it is an investment in your tier 2 coaching staff issue.
Yes.
A lot of the times, there are some when I was coaching an academy, there were some teams that either had a shared coach for their LCS and academy team or just no coach. What is that? You're supposed to emphasize individual and actual macro coaching in academy, not de-emphasize it, and then be surprised when you're not putting people in the LCS or they're not ready. It's disgusting. And then, of course, the whole scouting issue is another thing altogether. So, and then after years of them failing and then not learning anything and then failing again, they're yeah, there's just no talent. Okay, well, how about the other teams around you that have succeeded? Unironically evil geniuses with Jojo Pyun and Danny succeeded. Cloud9 with their own players, even though they're the one that have taken a step back, were the ones that succeeded with that.
NRG.
NRG easily succeeded with that. You can name a list of teams. And now EU's going through that same issue. It's so funny. It's just you cannot scout properly, and you probably don't have the right coaches in your team. That is the issue. And also, as an owner, you're probably after one split or 1 year making too big of a knee-jerk reaction.
I'll go in on this as well. Part of the reason why Steve wanted teams to have the option to divest in academy is TSM had a team with Haunster, Svenskar, and a Wild Turtle and no coach. I don't care how good those guys are. They had no fucking coach. That's pathetic from an org, I know that there was another team who were literally outsourcing scouting reports to someone that typed in the Oracle's Elixir Discord. They actually had to go find randoms to like go work for free to like actually feel like they were prepped for their matches. Like this is something where, I mean, I've been working in the combines this past month, right? Because I'm consulting for Supernova. The people like at the lower lobbies, they weren't given coaches early in the combine, and I just sat there and started coaching these guys because like I know enough to like help a team come together with like masters and GM players. That's what I did in college, right? They need the most help. I was able to help them the most. I can't help the lobby 1 guys. I was pinging guys like, wow, your POV is really good. Keep it up, you know? I can help the guys in the lower lobby. Like they need the most help, right? It's one where I feel like teams like they're so concerned about LCS because that's where the money is. So obviously they're going to invest the most in it. But
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Spawn did in TL. Like I don't know why he wasn't promoted like earlier because of his success, and it's sad because in other sports you can make big money being a developmental coach. Like that matters. Look at Coach K for Duke. Like he was the coach of Team USA basketball and Duke basketball, a collegiate program. And the reason he was the coach for Team USA is because he was able to bring people together quickly. That's what he has to do every year in college. Like there is true value to coaching at different levels, but the only value that's given in LCS is if you are the LCS head coach. And that is a big problem in the system. Teams are very short-sighted in realizing that. And that is why, you know, you had orgs like EG, orgs like 100 Thieves, like having consistent success with how they put together their tier 2 programs because they had the right people behind it. Same with Spawn and TL.
So I do want to make sure that we stick mostly to MSI this topic, especially because I went back and looked, and our conversation about the same topic was about 20 minutes long last week. But I appreciate the call out, especially in light of Team Liquid's success this past week. Caller, it's very much appreciated. Is there anything you want to add to anything that we've talked about here?
I just want to add on to with what Raz and Cubby were saying with that sometimes people need, you know, more time in the oven. Case in point is Contracts came onto the scene with C9, did pretty freaking well at his time, and then suddenly he went back into Academy for a while, came back and beat G2 at Worlds. I think a lot of people think that if you don't just make it and win the titles and go far at Worlds in 1 year, you're no good, and we'll see these new people that we've never heard of next year. And so I really hope that people like latch on to some of the up and coming or some of the other orgs. Like Dig may not be good in some ways, or Immortals may be not so good in other ways, but like look at those players and see if they're good and give them their, you know, their chance in the sun, because some of them are better than they look.
Sure. Maybe. What do you want to talk about, or what do you want to shout out here at the end?
I guess shout out to you guys. I mean, I really appreciate Raz. I've been watching MSI, and I've been watching you on the desk. You've been killing it. Love it, man. Also, Cubby, you're fighting for the little guy, and I appreciate it. You guys do great work. And Travis, you make a great platform for everyone to be able to speak opinions on the league world at large. So I appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.
I do see some folks who in the chat are over on YouTube, and I saw this on Twitch as well. In fact, Papa Smithy said something about this too. Christopher said something about how let's see, that's why the system was broken in tier 2, yet Travis is sitting there just flaming Steve when so many team owners just kept gatekeepers there because the teams were forced to have those tier 2 teams. And Papa Smithy was saying like teams, the idea was you had a bunch of teams that were not really putting effort into their academy team, and so they should have been able to opt out of it. I mean, I don't feel like I'm disappointed that the sort of solution to, hey, we have orgs that aren't putting any effort into developing talent in North America is to just stop them from having to spend any money on developing talent in North America, right? Like, and I guess you can't just kick them out based off of the contracts they signed, but I do feel like they were not participating in the ecosystem in good faith, and seemingly the reward was, okay, well, we'll let you save some money. I don't know.
What I would have loved
with that, yeah.
What I would love, and I'm not sure if this was happening, but just a larger guiding hand.
Oh, you Skype, Rez.
Well, yeah. Let him Skype. Yeah, I'll pull another text.
What were you gonna say, Rez?
Like a larger, like a monthly conference or so with either. Wow, I'm hearing an echo again.
No.
Sorry. Here, I'll mute myself.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a larger guiding hand because there were some teams that were just putting in extremely little effort in their secondary teams in their tier 2, or just didn't really know how to gain success off of it. So just working with Riot or working with other teams, of course, that's a competitive edge thing. That's the part that sucks. But like, if there was some larger guiding hand that would like really check up on them, because if you're consistently sucking at a tier 2 level, and I don't mean sucking as in performing bad, sucking as in putting very little effort, then as a franchise, we should be pushing them to do better. But yeah, instead of just being like, hey, that's their own business, shrug.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. All right, we do have a caller here. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm ppdoc, and I'm calling from Baltimore, Maryland.
ppdoc. Wait, ppdoc, did we make fun of your microphone previously?
Yeah, we did. I hope I got it fixed.
It's not maybe as bad as it was before, but you still sound like you're on you're a radio caller, which I kind of appreciate. It's very funny. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I'm on the move. I just wanted to kind of shout out Raz. I think he is, I call him the lane swaps of analysts. I think he's underappreciated, beautiful and sophisticated like a fine wine.
What is this caller?
Well, I appreciate you. Oh my
Raz,
goodness.
how much did you pay the caller and Cubby to both call in and then have Cubby pull them?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I couldn't really get.
There were second parts to this as well.
Okay,
but,
wait. What's the second part to the take?
I signed an NDA on that I can't talk about. But no, the second part, my other team is actually think Team Liquid, if they play up to how they played in their last series, I think you have a legit chance of having a competitive series against T1, especially with how Faker and Kumiushi and Owner have looked so far. I think the best T1 players so far have been Zeus and Carrier, and I think Impact and Core JJ, matching up against them, have a chance to stabilize that matchup. I actually think they have a pretty decent chance to make a competitive series, and could even have maybe like a 25% chance to take the whole series.
You're giving TL a 25% chance to win the series against T1.
Yeah, I think that's pretty conservative, actually. I think I may even go as high as 50 to 60 with what we've seen. But
you are suggesting there's a world where they're favored over T1?
I think so. With how things have been looking, I think it's possible.
I mean, we got to ban APA's mid champs. Then that means that Faker gets less mid champs. We could have like 8 mid champs banned. Who's got the deeper pool?
All right, so I know you're a urologist. I know you're a urologist, and so you presumably you have a decent income. How much money are you using on these gray market betting apps that I know people to because there's a huge upside here. If you think that they're potentially favored, then like the odds on these platforms have got to be terrible. So you must have the ability to make a ton of money off of this.
Yeah, I think I dropped it from 6 figures down to 5 figures that I've got down, but no, I'm just kidding. No, I'll bet I got a 3-year-old that he sops up all that income you're referring to.
Oh yeah.
I think honestly to just elaborate a little bit, we were talking about lane swaps a little bit earlier. I actually think TL should not try to lane swap against T1. I know there's been some conversation about Carrier and Gumiushi being this power duo, and maybe Jan and Core JJ can try to get away from them. But I actually think if you try to beat SKT with macro or T1, sorry, you're gonna get rocked. So I think they should just try to go in, try to be streaky, try to get hot, and try to take them down.
So 25% chance. I'd probably go to 15, whatever that would mean. The reason.
No, you're good. Keep talking. We started to lose you. ppdoc, you're gonna have to listen to Raz over on Skype.
Yes, let's send
listen to him through the stream.
I actually want to hear this.
Yeah. The fun thing. I'm so sorry, everybody, that we're having these issues, but Go ahead, Rez.
No, it's worth.
Yeah, it is what it is. I do think they should be lane swapping, actually. I'll just take my earphones off so I don't hear myself. I think they should be lane swapping because I think in lanes they would pretty much suffer 2v2 to Guma and Keria. I actually think their strongest part is their bottom lane. Absolutely. Which means stylistically, this is a bit of a mismatch. I think in the draft, it's going to be tough for top and bottom lane, so they should probably just be lane swapping throughout the entire series. Team Liquid, I think, has had a pretty good understanding of swapping. I think they can swap quite well. And then their main strength comes in just getting Yon to like mid game with Lucian, Nami, or like whatever Varus matchup. I think Lucian Nami would probably be his best shot. But yeah, problem is the reason why I don't have faith in them is because I think even their biggest weakness right now is Faker isn't playing well. He's playing like ass. He's just dying in lane almost on repeat outside like later on in his series. And I think for sure Caps can capitalize on that. But I think that in lane I don't think we can really gap T1 in lane. As simple as that put it.
I agree with Raz on the jungle. I said that I think T1 3-0's TL. I don't want to be too depressed there, but I think the path to victory that BLG had is that when Knight was taking Faker down, like Knight is an incredible laner, and I would love to get a call about Knight versus Chovy in winners finals, because like the fact that that hasn't happened and it's finally happening, I think is a huge deal, because these guys are like the next generation mids, you know. I think it's really really cool that we finally get these guys to meet like after way too long. But regardless, I don't think APA gets the same leads against Faker, and I think that's what really broke T1. I don't think TL can break them in the same way. And for me, when TL was actually set behind quite a bit in their series versus top, I think that their answers to like take the map back was just kind of walk into space they didn't own and lose their health bars, and then that made the game really hard on them. I can see T1 also putting them in the similar handcuffs that they put FlyQuest in. I think that TL will have a much better fight than that, but the way that T1 set up the maps, it was pretty nasty. Like I actually had them as my favorites coming out of play-ins, and so to see them like actually not perform and get like really, I mean, almost exposed against BLG was quite curious to me. And I'm really interested to see, like, T1 is a team that's so damn good that they can almost set their own meta in tournaments. I mean, that's how they won Worlds last year for me. Like, they struggled in the one match against, like, Gen.G, and then they're like, all right, screw it, we're just going to play double range supports. And they were so good at it, everyone else, like, by the end of the tournament had the match. Or do something to fight that, right? I don't think the Faker can set his own meta here. Like, and it's so weird, because, like, Faker was coming off of like his best domestic split. He was so good domestically this split. Like he really was the second best mid laner to Chovy, who everyone was coming in here saying is the best player in the world, and he's just not showing up at this tournament. It's really too bad, because usually it's the inverse. It's while Faker domestically is kind of shaker, you know, he's kind of shaky, but hey, he goes international. It's like, wow, Faker looks good. Like he showed up for this tournament, you know, like he's back in form, and so it's weird to kind of see that inverse here.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
I think when T1 was at their best,
I think you have to either ban or pick away the Ashe from Keria. I think there's no way you give Keria Ashe single game this tournament, this series. You got to either take it away or get rid of it. He did not look the same on any of the other supports. He just doesn't look like a god, I guess, like he does on Ashe.
So, my take on this is, I'll just get in there. Actually, I do want him to play Ashe, only because that if you're playing Ashe in a swap, holy shit, you are not as useful as any other frontliner. I would love him to play Ashe. I think I would hate for him to play. Level 1's really good.
Yeah.
So like, I think the problem that T1 does have, yes, mid lane's laning, but also I think they haven't been playing side lanes well, and I think every time they've lost to G2 on sides, it's because Owner and Faker are just not on the same page. Faker's either playing to playing to Fog when Owner is not there and he's on Krugs or something, or when Owner is there, you know, Keria is not there immediately. Like G2 basically had a solid idea that if they're going for a play top lane, or if they believe that Caps is isolated and needs some help, they will have at least 2 people heading there. They will have added numbers, like most of the time. There was a time where Yike was on Rek'Sai early in that series, and he's skipping camps to be able to look for a play on Faker. They're just not playing safely as Chovy would under those same circumstances. Like it looks bad, frankly. So it's weird. It's even though I'm levying all these criticisms to T1, that is to say that I don't think Team Liquid can 3 games in a series beat T1 at that. G2 had a pretty tough time themselves. And I just think that G2 would be the team that would take a chance on them. So, like, we would be able to actually beat them in that. So, yeah.
Can they take a game, Raz?
Yeah, they can take a game. I actually would have it at 3-1. I think
they can take a game.
I think when T Liquid has a lead, that they at least showed that in their second series that they're pretty good at being able to like close it. So
Well,
the problem is the nerves.
Yeah. Also, the one issue I have is like going into the Fnatic series. I think I tweeted out I had TL 3-2. I didn't see it in the tape, but it was like neither bot lane was able to play the game all tournament. I just had a little bit more faith in the TL bot lane to show up, and I feel like they 3-1 because their bot lane played much better than Fnatic's. Guma carry has not been the issue for T1. Like I still think these guys are playing quite well, and this meta is really, really good for Guma. So I am a little bit concerned about that as well, because I think that Jackie Love is, I mean, he's a beast, but he was a big part of the reason why I think TL dropped 3-0. And like, I thought the top esports map sets against TL were actually quite good. Like, I think a lot of NA fans were like just kind of bummed we got 3-0'd, but I had to give a lot of credit over the top. I thought top played the lane swaps really well against TL. I thought they really handcuffed them well in a couple matches. Like, I actually thought they played legitimately good league. Like, I don't even like TL lost their health bars and points, they haven't. And so like outside of that, I was like, wow, these are fixable mistakes for TL. And props to them. They did so against Fnatic when they were able to play the game. My concern against T1 is like, how many games are we going to get where TL is able to play the game on somewhat even footing? And that's going to be tough.
Also, I think the draft is a problem.
Please let me know if my audio is okay, because some people were saying it was too loud. But
okay,
I do want to jump in here and kind of bring it back to the initial question, which is like, does TL have a 25% chance, or even, I mean, the crazy thing would be like a 50-50 chance. I feel like if TL beats T1, that will be the biggest upset in League of Legends competitive history.
Yes.
Raz?
In a best of 5, yeah. In a best of 5, it would be.
Yeah.
The only one that would have been better would have been PSG over BLG.
Yeah.
Which like almost happened. So who knows? I mean, it's been a weird tournament. Like, things have happened. So
yeah. So like I feel like I just disagree with you, Caller. Like I don't actually think that, like, I say this, you know, hoping that it happens, but if it does happen, it'll be a goddamn miracle, and we should all be like freaking out at how insane that was because of all of this. Like, I don't think it will happen. I don't think there's like really any chance of it. So if it does, like, that is just awesome. But I really disagree with you. But I like where your head's at.
So the chat's saying TL versus IG, and I just had to think about it. And I would disagree with the chat only because that TL, even though that was for sure the biggest upset at the time, at least if you were to tell me, like, after the fact, I'd be like, okay, like a team of North American goats, the actual like super team in North America did it and like beat them in a best of 5. That makes sense. In this case, like, yes, same instance. T1 is coming out of a world championship. But this instance of TL with Jan and APA, I don't think I would ever say that. I still wouldn't be able to believe that. And Umpty as well, knowing Umpty's past. Like, that would actually still be a shocker to me after the fact. So
yeah,
I would still say that it's probably the bigger one.
Even in the LCS, right? Like, I don't think a lot of people had them winning LCS. And so the fact that we'd send this sort of random team that people didn't expect to make it as our first seed over there, and then they'd beat the world champions, I don't know.
Yeah, because I was still even questioning at the beginning of the tournament. Is Fly?
Oh, we lost you, Rez. Back to Skype.
Did they just have a bad day in the finals? Like, those are still legitimate questions. So you're even questioning Team Liquid as a tier 1 seed. Like, I would say that's night and day. but it took me a little bit to think about it. It's pretty close.
Yeah, that's very fair. All right, caller, thank you so much for the call. Anything here that you'd like to add before I give you your shout-outs?
No, I think we covered it. I mean, I'm just trying to build up the hype before the series in the same way I was hyped before C9 took down Afrika Freaks back in 2018. So let's just get hyped. I know it's a different beast, but you got to go in hyped.
No, and I mean, I love these types of calls because if they do pop off, then I get to edit this out and put it on YouTube and be like, Hotline League caller predicts crazy surprise. Either way, thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
actually, do you have anything you want to shout?
to-
Yes, shout outs. Sorry, this episode's got me all over the place.
From shout out to you guys, Travis and Cubby, obviously for everything you do week to week. Big shout out to Raz. Obviously it was a little bit memey earlier, but I do want to shout him out as an excellent analyst. I've been watching Scene for many years, and I just think the way Raz you carry yourself on the desk, you have like such a really good way of including other people and not talking over them and listening and responding. It's just really seamless and it's really enjoyable to watch and it makes it for a really good viewing experience. So keep it up, man. Keep up the good work, and I'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks so much for the
Appreciate
call.
that.
Catch you next time. All right, we'll take a quick break really quickly so I can shout out some folks. I guess, Cub, you can start to queue up the next person, but we haven't been shouting out subs, and boy, have we had a ton. So I already, I think before the start of the show, shouted out a whole bunch of people that came in to help start a scam train, but also want to shout out Decimaya, Jaffe, Poison Ivy, Add-ons for Clearly, Spud Tugger for 2 years, Linus calling, Zemelci, Liberi for 56 months. Oh my. Iobi Shanatonin for 66, Falco Live, JB, Iobi Blicky Drip, Falco gifted a sub, Fishy Bone with the 500 bits of Karn Liberated for the 18 months, and then Warspite over on YouTube just sent IDR 40,000. I don't know how much that is, but somebody can take a look at that. And Bob and George, thank you for gifting a membership. Tic Tac Stew as well. And then Poison Ivy just became a 20-month member over on YouTube, supporting both on Twitch and YouTube. So thank you very much. I know there's a pretty big culture of subbing and all that stuff over on Twitch, but folks who on YouTube who decide to become a member, you get early access to videos, you get some cool benefits over there as well. So if you do want to support on YouTube, that is very much generous. 40,000 IDR is 25 cents apparently. So I keep getting wrecked by that. Okay, caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Knox. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So we haven't had a really good hot take in a while. So listening recently to Double Lift, the sane man he is, he kind of let it slip that there's a rumor that IMT and TSM could be merging and TSM would be back in the LCS. And my take is that if that happens, the community from fans, casters, even players should shun them and never give them any sort of praise, hype, buy any of their merch or anything.
Okay. So, one, I did see this. I have not, there's a very good chance that it's true. I've not heard anything, so I just want to say that we are just sort of having this as a crazy theoretical conversation, because I don't, this has not been reported by any media outlet or whatever, so, and Peter says crazy stuff on his channel. Could end up being true, but I just wanted to level set with everybody as we go into this conversation. Why would you want the LCS to shun TSM?
Because of just the way they left the league was in just a very abrupt, there was no smooth exit, the way they kind of trashed the league. And yes, we all know LCS isn't, what it used to be or what it could be. But then how they were saying, we want to go to the LPL or LCK, we want to strive to win worlds. And then in reality, they basically, from the outside looking in, looks like they went bankrupt, sold off all their players, and went bottom of the barrel for all their teams for the ones that they still even have.
Yeah, I think I would not shun. So first off, as somebody said in the chat, like I would definitely not be rude about the players who decide to play on that team. But
See, I disagree on that.
what
I don't
you
think. Yeah, I think any of the players who want to support that team for how they acted, unless it's a complete change in leadership from the top down, those players shouldn't even want to play with them. They should be shunned by everyone, including even casters on the broadcast. They should. I don't care if they're the best team in the league. They should be like, this team does not deserve to be here.
Yo, you are professional hate watching out here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Hey, imagine me against like a New York team. It's even worse.
so what?
No,
Why
I
not
appreciate
just?
that.
I feel like you should just take it
I
a level
appreciate
higher
that
and
part.
say that Riot should deny the TSM brand in the league.
Because let's be honest, Riot's not going to deny any
Okay,
chance of getting more money.
One, they don't get any money from this, right? Like the idea would be it would just be a merger, so it's not like Riot sees like an upside on this, other
But what
than
I'd
if
probably
all
see an
hate
upside
watch?
against Immortals.
If we all hate watch, viewership can
Yeah.
go up, Travis.
I'm not saying that they get an upside on Immortals, but you were the one that positioned. I said shouldn't Riot just deny this? You said they need the money. I said they don't have money. So like I'm
Well,
not.
I would think from Riot's point of view, it would be an increase in probably ad revenue or anything like that. So Riot themselves wouldn't say no. I just think the public perception should make them be a little more wary.
I
of
just
it.
think
And then the dream is
it's
that they
crazy
just
to me
want it
that you
happen.
think like players who are all so desperate right now. Like a year ago at this time or just before this time, there were 20 teams that you could potentially play in that were LCS or tier 2, like
23.
LCS Academy. Now there are 10. So what'd
There's
you say, Cubby?
8.
Oh, what's that?
Oh, you're counting Academy.
Yeah,
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 the
yeah.
two coming
It
down.
was
Or
23.
NACL. Keep that
Some
count.
teams had
NACL.
3 teams.
Yeah, oh, sorry, 23, if you want
Yeah.
to count it that way. And so now there's 8. So like I just don't think like we have we have way more players ready to play right now than we do teams, and so I think expecting 5 players to turn down offers from an organization is unreasonable, especially because like there might be you might have players that are already under contract with Immortals that would roll into this. This is all very theoretical. I'm not saying I would.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you.
So
on that.
the difference here is I think that it is perfectly reasonable for the community to mock the TSM organization, given how fucking conceited that org was on the way out. The whole like, we're better than LCS and we're going to go to another region. Well, where is this other team in this other region? Like, we haven't seen it yet, and maybe it will pop up. I don't know. People have thought that maybe they'd show up in LPL in a year or something like that, but like everything I've seen publicly, I mean, they lost Imperial Howl, I think today was announced as one of their major departures from that org. Like, it seems like that org is basically dying, which is, I'm sure, what would lead to this like merger type deal. And so the arrogance of being like, we're too good for the LCS, and then appearing in the LCS again a year later would just be fucking hilarious. And I would just never let that die. That would be so good, you know? So that's sort of where I would be. I would definitely not mock the players or anything like that, but just
Travis,
yeah.
this man just agreed with you. What's the take then?
The caller said that like everyone should mock, like you should just reject everything about the org. I'm like, even the players.
But he just agreed with you at the end, didn't he? Didn't you?
Oh no, I was agreeing that it's all like theoretical. Nothing is confirmed yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, there are 8 teams in this league. Players just want to play LCS. Like, that's actually crazy. Like, that's at the end of the day, like, they're trying to make a livelihood, and now there's less and less space to be able to do that by doing the thing that they love doing, which is playing the game. Especially when they're good. Especially when the current teams, I'm not going to name names, are taking such a long time to pick up the most obvious players, man. We had a split where, like, Revenge wasn't on a team. Now he's retired, sadly. Stixay wasn't on a team.
I forgot about Stixay. Goddamn. Yeah, he had a great year last year, and then Raz, we're losing you. You got to do Skype.
While we go over to Skype, Surdy's not on a team at the moment either. Like, I don't fathom that one. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
a lot of like.
I guess
And
the question
also
would be, do you
fucking
trust? I
licorice.
mean, Immortals or TSM? Let's say they combined leadership for how bad Immortals has been and how, in all honesty, how shitty TSM their management has been for now probably close to a decade. Do you really trust them to put the best interests of their players up front? I mean, maybe for the first year, but you can
Well, it's
shine a
definitely
pile of
not.
shit, but it's still gonna be shit.
It's definitely not putting the best players, at heart when we start shunning them. That's actually going to do the literal opposite. Um, so, and also like, if they have no complete competitive rights, like if IMT is still ownership and they're putting the power in their coach or whoever, I'm fine with that. As long as we don't have like Kaido, like there was a lot of internal things that were happening that are not even public that TSM just was really fucking stupid about.
Yep.
So like, yeah, in the end of the day, it's just funny. That's all it is. It's just hilarious. They've already burned their fans. If for people out there who are checking the TSM subreddit once in a while, they were like, how's this community doing? Because they were really confident that they were going to be in a championship LPL team or even in the LPL to begin with, as their management just communicated less and less until their management didn't exist anymore. And then there was just no communication on any level. And people were like, what the fuck is this? I would just rather be in the LCS than in nothing. It's like, I'm glad you guys see. At the end of the day, they were hoodwinked. That's just the reality. And now if they come back into the LCS, it's just funny. That's
Dude,
at the end of the
TSM
day. And
fans,
yeah,
TSM fans, so I have never met people who have Stockholm syndrome more. Like you go to that subreddit and for years people really got frustrated about TSM and fans got so defensive and were like, "Oh, they were like professional victims. They were just so sad about how they were just so mistreated and whatever." And then all the shit comes out about TSM that like the org has just got a lot of problems, has a lot of shitty people over there, blah, blah, blah. And then they're still like, oh, we're just, people treat us so poorly. And then oh man, I remember the threads and the comments that were just like, just you wait, we're leaving the LCS and you're going to see that we're the better org when we're winning in LPL. We don't need this shitty league. And they're just like, they just constantly believed in this fucking illusion. And it's so funny to see. I mean, I think they're still like TSM could file for bankruptcy. The brand could just completely disappear, and you'd still have that people on that subreddit that would be like, "Just you wait. This is all part of the master plan. We're gonna be back soon." Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about the side of it around like should we support the players or not, but I do want to ask Cubby and Raz like, if would you be happy if TSM came back into the league, and how would you, and if not, like how would you feel about it?
I mean, I want to see him come back because I'm just in my head right now. I'm just like, man, what's the best Reddit comment I could write about them coming back? Like, truly immortal TSM takes immortal spot. NA didn't beat a single LPL team, and TSM was like crawling back to their X. Like, there is so many good things that you can write about TSM coming back. Like, for me, I mean, I think that TSM and the way they left LCS, man, that org built the nicest facility on the planet and then just slowly hollowed it out of like all the good people that went into like actually building anything at TSM. And for them to come crawling back it's actually just like too funny, honestly.
But would you be happy if they came back?
Yeah, I'd fucking hate watch the shit out of them. Are you kidding me? Okay. Well, I actually though, like I can't do it because like it's my job. But like, holy shit, like I mean, at least we get more engagement from their team. That's guaranteed. That's not a bad thing, you know. Like people would actually have reason to watch TSM. Like whether you like them or not, at least people have an opinion on them. Like that's the best thing that can happen. No one has an opinion or a care about Immortals right now, if we're being honest. Like I think it's kind of sad. I think what Immortals has done behind the scenes, like they've actually made a little bit of an effort to like really humanize their players and like put content out. I think it's actually a decent direction, but it hasn't gotten people like on board to care about it yet. If you sign up TSM, like you're gonna get a whole new group of people that are back. You know, they're back to being the prisoners in LCS. It's just what it is.
Raz,
yeah.
if TSM came back, yeah,
I think I find it with the brand coming back. I think if they came back in the same iteration, which is like, Reggie making decisions, and anything underneath that is just no, we follow whatever Reggie does. That is the problem, because there are just a lot of things that were a problem behind the scenes when it comes to players going into TSM and
Yep.
then getting like, rug pulled under them, or there's just a lot of issues that came with it. I think that would be weird. But if it's just the brand and if it's just the money, I'm completely fine with that. I don't think we're in a position to turn away a team getting an extra bit of funding. And if so it really depends on the detail. So I'm fine with it. And I think TSM is still a stronger brand name, though now for a different reason. So I'm
you
fine
would be
with it.
fine
Just don't
with
make
you would be
decisions.
fine with
That's
them
it.
coming in so
As
that
long as
this Immortals crew
TSM
could make this
is
money.
sending money, but not making decisions, thumbs up.
And
I think what
not FTX money,
Yeah.
real money.
So Raz, you would be
yeah.
fine.
the good thing about
You would be fine with TSM coming back if Immortals can be. You're saying like you don't want the TSM folks in, but if it's just Immortals getting money, that's a good thing. Why
the
should
worst thing about it was that like the people on TSM that were on a middle management level were all great. Like Parth, Lena,
Parth's
those
great.
type of people at the time, like they built good teams in the past, and I thought that they had done a great job at actually cleaning up press issues. So like it was just literally just Reggie, if we want to be honest.
I just mean I don't
So,
why I
yeah.
don't know why we should care. Like, look, I agree that that Immortals is trying to do some interesting stuff this split. Okay, think about the Immortals that we've seen since they re-entered the league. Basically, what they are is this thing that has failed to accomplish anything, but has a brand that used to exist in the LCS, left the LCS, and came back. And whenever people think fondly about Immortals, they're thinking about essentially a completely different organization that got bought out by this like zombie thing that exists now. If they merge,
I
and
think their last year was pretty promising.
I
Don't
just,
you?
dude, people just don't give a shit about Immortals. Like the brand is not what it was, and I'm saying that this would be the exact same thing that would happen with TSM. You're giving the guys who took the old Immortals brand and made it irrelevant. You're going to give them the TSM brand, and what do we expect that they'll do instead with it?
I would say I would very much heavily warn people against making big decisions off of when a team is actually making proper decisions now. I think the decisions that they've been making in the last like year has been pretty good. And then even going into this off season when they picked up an arrow, I think that's a pretty good decision. We'll have to continue to see what's going forward, like what's happening going forward. But overall, I think they have been making better and better decisions. Their content, by the way, has been getting better and better. So it's not just we lost. Here's a Aurora Borealis of an image of a 0-2. That's not a thing that I'm seeing anymore. In fact, I would say compared to some of the other teams, there's still quite a few teams that are better than them in content game. But like they are better than other teams in content. People are just not watching that content now because of how, Dog's been in the bad past. So the expectation's not there yet. So they just need to be consistent with their content, which they've been doing better at. And we've been airing, and then consistently making proper roster decisions, which, I think they're on the right path. But yeah, when they first came in and for a few years after that, it's been ass. So, but I would say when people are making knee-jerk decisions saying, man, but this team has always been bad, it's like, okay, but are they getting better or worse? That's all I care about. I think they're getting better.
I don't know. I think you just have a lower bar for an LCS org than I do. I like that they've hired a couple smart people from Golden Guardians and elsewhere to like rev up socials and stuff, but I don't think that like I don't have enough faith.
And Sensible is saying that I haven't seen any IMT content at all. It's because you haven't been seeing their YouTube channel and their Twitter. And honestly, that's fair. You've been trained to not look at their YouTube channel and Twitter for probably years now. But I would just say give it a chance. It's not amazing, but it's great and it's humanized some of the players. I've enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you so much, caller. Anything that you want to shout out here at the end?
Shout out Celtics going up 3-1 in the series, and looking forward to the Assassin's Creed Magic the Gathering release.
You are okay.
Great.
Yeah,
Don't let
it's
him go
funny. I
yet.
feel like a lot of
Don't let
people
him go
are
yet.
not looking forward to Magic or the Assassin's Creed Magic the Gathering release. Why are you looking forward to it? Caller.
You're a Boston fan?
Yes, I am a Boston fan. Was born up there
Oh
before I
my-
moved down here. But the reason I'm looking forward to the Assassin's Creed releases is I grew up on those games. I don't think I'm as old as you, Travis, but I'm pushing 30 here soon. So
This guy only knows winning, Raz. He's a Boston fan.
yep. Grew up with the Brady, the Big Poppy, all that.
How about them Bruins? Huh?
Ooh. Well,
Yeah.
at least I got the Blues. 2019. That was a weird time.
I just had a crumb in 2019 with Toronto Raptors, and that's just me. I'm Calgarian. I'm living vicariously across the fucking country for Toronto, so I'm a little bit salty, but I appreciate it. I think this is a good chance for Boston for the Celtics, but I'm still a Boston hater.
I just want to be clear.
This
So on
better be their
Sunday, I'm turning 35, so you're not as old as me. But I want to put this out there because I've had some people recently who think I'm like turning 40 or something. You say damn. I'm going to keep saying this. Kobe, how old is Kobe, Raz?
I just got the Kevin Hart fucking
How old is
meme
Kobe?
in my head of damn.
How old is
we don't
Kobe?
know. We don't need to know how old.
Raz?
Why are you throwing Kobe under the bus?
Kobe's
Why are you
37.
throwing him under the bus?
How old is Shocks?
Why are you
Shocks is
throwing her under the bus?
36, okay? I was a youngin' when I started this game. And some of the people that are still around are older than me. People need to remember that, all right? Anyway, thank you so much for the call. We'll catch you next time.
Yep, have a good one.
All right. Let's see. Where are we? I don't know. Oh, ppdoc just gifted 5 subs. Thank you, ppdoc, for the 5 gifted. That is very generous of you.
Travis gonna swap to CS:GO content because he's 35 plus now. I think that's it.
I didn't-
CS2.
No,
Just-
how long until I get to like World of Tanks?
World of Tanks. Let's go. All right.
All right.
You're getting to Age of Empires age, I will say.
Ooh, great game.
Karn Liberated, thank you for the tier 1, 18 months. Snow Leopard, thank you for the $5 super chat that says damn you old. Tahu, thank you for the membership. I'm so
How you
tired of
doing,
aging.
Travis?
Dude, it's so crazy turning 35. What the fuck? All right. Shawn is here. Shawn, where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Just a discourse that happened about like a week and a half ago when there was like a leak about the Hall of Legends thing, about Faker being the first one. And I think that no active player should ever be voted into a Hall of Legends or a, Hall of Fame sort of thing.
We got a Hall of Legends take during MSI, Cubby. We're going to speed run this one.
All right. I mean, there aren't a ton of MSI takes. I'm sorry.
I can transfer it to MSI take too.
Yeah. Okay, no, you're going to do me a favor. Transform this into an MSI take.
Okay, so I don't think you should because Faker's legacy is still able to be like made and created. So like you shouldn't give someone their flowers when they can still plant the seeds for them. And I think like
He's staring down his own legacy in front of our eyes.
Exactly. But I think like the thing is like right now, I think like Knight and Chovy kind of have that stage on the MSI because like, Cubby was talking about before, like we've never seen like Knight versus Chovy. And I think like that's like huge because Faker like is not playing his best right now, but until he retires, he should never be put into the Hall of Fame because obviously he's a first ballot if you want to use like traditional sport terms.
All right. Thank you. You did a good job of switching us over to that. So I know we've talked about this a little bit on the show in the past. I don't give a shit. I think like for somebody like Faker, I think it's perfectly reasonable to like we need to wait until he's not playing anymore. We might wait forever for that. Like he deserves it. It's weird to induct anybody before him. Fuck it, just induct Faker. Like, I actually don't have much of an issue with it. Anybody want to contest me?
I'm fine if he's the one exception. I'm actually think I think that people should wait like for people to retire to go into like any sort of Hall of Fame. If he's the one exception, I think that like that further cements his greatness. I'm down for that, honestly.
Yeah.
I just think
it's also the best way to kick off this thing.
It is. They should have kicked it off way earlier with other players.
Well, and there's even a business reason to care about it because I think there's rumors that they're going to do something in game for it. I don't know if it's a skin or what the deal is, but I think even Faker himself has hinted at it.
The only reason Riot would make this decision is if it was tied to skins.
Yeah, yeah. So like,
let's be honest.
Just do it now so that like this thing can be really successful, and then they can continue the program. I think. Like,
yeah.
I just say it's not a Hall of Fame.
What's that, Rez?
As long as it's not like a Hall of... I mean, it
is a Hall of Fame.
It's pretty much just seen as a Hall of Fame.
It's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it is.
That's what... It's Hall of Legends, Hall of Fame. They
should definitely try and differentiate it then.
Like, in what way?
Because, like, my thing is, like, a Hall of Fame is once your career is well done, we look past at all of your accomplishments. When his accomplishments are still stacking up. He was a world champion, and he could possibly win an MSI championship, a world championship, probably go on for a few more years. What are we going to do then? Like, I am a personal believer.
What are we going to do?
Like,
we'll just keep talking about him. It's not like there's a physical location that's being built where they're going to be like, oh, great, we have to go add these Post-it notes to the mural of his accomplishments.
Well, what if they did, Travis?
Weren't you just talking about that being a business decision because they're probably going to do something
in game? I think they're going to have a digital experience. I don't think that they're going to have. I mean, I guess you could say, okay, to your point, maybe they could do something where like he has a skin and it's got some sort of animation that has like stars based off of his number of international titles. But if it's a digital item, you can just adjust it whenever he wins something more. You know, like I just don't think that there's that much of a downside to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be dismissive.
I would say the downside.
That's a good argument.
Yeah.
I would say the downside is how much I actually care about the Hall of Legends, because with Hall of Fame, the only reason why I care about it is you are putting respect to a players whose career is done and over with. You are giving them their flowers, and you are once again like going over their entire career. That's why they're all will always.
Yo, you're roboting. Back to Skype.
Yeah.
We're getting really fast at this now, too. It's great. Yo, you're muted on Skype still.
Skype is fucking with me right now, though. There it is. But yeah, like, so, like, I will care a lot about it because it's like I care a lot about the players that have built the game that are gone. Well, I mean, moving on to a different chapter in one way or another. So, like, that's where I care a lot about it. But then if you're just saying, actually, in this case, we can do active players that have their career still going on, that I'm still appreciating, that I'm still following their game literally at this point in time as he's like going through a lower bracket run, then do I care about it? No, not really, because I'm still following their career. So that's for me the takeaway, like how much I actually care about the Hall of Fame or the Hall of Legends. Like for me, the first ballot would probably be, and I'm probably going to be skipping over someone. I apologize because maybe my memory's not that great.
Uzi.
Mad Life's a great one. Ambition would probably be mine.
Yep.
Like there are a lot of players right now that people are forgetting, or yeah, exactly. They're either forgetting or they're afraid that they're being forgotten, that I want to have like a last hurrah for. And like I care about those players for sure because their career is over. They're now either a streamer or something like, I guess fucking Crown is like some investment person. Like they've moved on to their next step, and I want to celebrate them.
Yes.
So that's what I would care about this, because it's unique in this case. Whereas if you start with saying Faker, let's celebrate Faker for the first ballot Hall of Fame when he's still playing. I'm sorry, I don't care. I only care until I care currently about his run at MSI. For him to get another championship, or for him to win like a Worlds or something. I care about his current journey. So that's where I think the drop off is. And maybe it's just a me thing. Maybe I'm different.
No, I 100% agree with you, Raz. Like, how much cooler would it be if we were talking about this? Like, wow, like what is Riot gonna do when Faker gets inducted to the Hall of Fame? Like, there are so many names, like we just dropped a couple that are missing. Like, what if we already had this thing established and honored people earlier? Like, where is Xpeke on this list, you know?
Yeah.
Like, where is like fucking Bengi and Mata and like all of these all-time great players? Like Huni, like honestly, like is a candidate to like be in this list, right? Like,
Dude,
how-
Soaz is another one where we
Yes.
see him right now working with NRG side.
Yes.
I'm like, some people, it feels like they've forgotten about him. Fucking please, like, put him in the limelight.
yes, like how much cooler would it be if we already honored these people and like actually dedicated something to the esport? And this is a gripe that I have, like with Riot. They're doing this to sell skins. I know that this is what funds the game and what makes Riot money, but like, where is the respect for the game? That's what the Hall of Fame is about for any game.
Yeah, it's voted.
Like,
It
this
sounds
should have
okay,
been
but it is
on-
voted by people outside of the system. Like I can I.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's
regardless
voted
of
on
the
by
voting-
multiple people outside of the space. Like it's
late.
not like
late.
Riot's bequeathing this
Regardless
specifically
of
for a
the
skin.
voting, it's about the metrics. It's about what you're basing the votes off of.
I think
Players
my
who are still
main point-
performing.
I don't know if Raz is talking. Is
Yeah.
he?
Sorry. Yeah, you go on. Let him talk. Let him talk.
Okay. Sorry. I
No,
heard
you're
it.
good.
I heard an echo.
Yeah,
I
go.
just that is that's kind of my main point is like we need to set the precedent, and Raz said earlier is like the slippery slope, right? That you can have like Faker is already the exception in League of Legends esports. You don't need to make another exception to like quantify how great he is.
Wait, what
Right,
what
just by
exception have
making
they
it
made
number?
for him, Sean? You said you don't need to make another exception. What exception have they made for him
Well,
so
no,
far?
no, I'm not. No. Like
He's first.
he is the exception, right, in league because of his dominance, right? You don't need to make another, which would be to induct him while he is active.
Wait, but
That would be the another.
why? What? It's you're saying he's the exception to to what?
The sport. He is like when you think of League of Legends, you think of Faker. He is
Yeah. So
exceptional.
shouldn't he be the exception for the
no,
Hall of
you
Legends?
You don't need to make a you don't need to make a Faker rule to allow him to go in there as the first, because
Why?
being the first in Hall of Fame or a Hall of Legends does not matter. No one like if you go look at NBA Hall of Fame or
I don't
NFL
give a
Hall
shit
of
about the
Fame,
NBA Hall of Fame.
Of course.
Why should I
of
give a
course,
shit
but
about the NBA Hall of Fame? I care
Okay,
about League
well
of
then-
Legends esports.
Oh God, I know you do, but my point is that you don't need to make an exception for the exceptional. It's
I think
asinine.
that's exactly when you make an exception. Like, I just feel like you're trying to use a turn of phrase here to suggest like we haven't made any exceptions for Faker so far. Why not make an exception here? Also, how's this an exception? There's no rule set that's been made so far for Hall of Legends, so we're not making any exceptions for him.
In a sense, being first is an exception.
I just don't know what we're doing anymore at this point in time. Like,
Me neither.
Um,
I wanted this thing to be created earlier. That's all. It'd be
Yeah,
so much
I-
cooler if
when I-
Faker like.
When I
is
said
being
it's a
inducted.
slippery slope, what I meant was there are some players that are still playing, and they're like the Chinese fans are going to be crying like, "What about Mako? He's still playing, but that guy's a legend." They're going to start talking about other players that are currently still playing that we should celebrate. And it's like, okay, so we've lost the plot of what Hall of Fame actually
exactly.
is. Um,
That's my point.
I think the Hall of,
Yeah.
like, let's take a look at what they describe the Hall of Legends as, and let's see if we've lost the plot. I'm going to go ahead and pull
but
up. Their
I don't care
description
what
of
they're
this.
describing it as. It's the expectation from the fans of what a Hall of Fame actually is, which is when their career is over, then we celebrate them.
So
So I
you're
don't know,
saying
like,
you're saying
they've
when
already-
they announce Faker, a lot of fans, the majority of fans, will be like, "This doesn't make sense."
No, the majority. Okay, you're missing the entire argument that I just made. There will be people that will, of course, love the fact that Faker's in it, right? And they will celebrate the fact that Faker's in it. There's already a very vocal amount of people that are like, he's still playing, he shouldn't be first ballot. Then who's the second person going to be? Who's the third? Who's the fourth? And there's going to be an argument about, okay, well, what about this famous player that I really love that's playing right now? Like, that should be on this Hall of Fame. You lose the value of a Hall of Fame because of the argument that I just laid earlier. So, yeah, I mean,
I'm
that's pretty much
100%
it.
with
I-
Raz.
here's-
Yeah,
here's what I'll
this is
say.
just purely a business decision. That's all it is. It's
here's
It's
what
being
I'll
done
say.
for skins.
I
It's a skin
yeah,
decision.
it's being done for skins. It's being done for money.
Yes.
We should just be saying that.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but Riot's not choosing who's in it.
Okay, but
They're still
the
making a
metric
goddamn
of who
skin.
people are voting for. Travis, you go into a room. They say, here's the metric of who we're voting for in the Hall of Fame. Okay. Oh, so we're voting for current players. That's the problem.
I see what
So
you're
I'm
saying.
not blaming
You're
the
saying
voters
Riot could
because the
decide to
voters have
make
been
us-
told that Faker is available to be picked.
Yep.
You should be voting for people who have their career is done with.
Yes.
So respectfully, I disagree, but Twitch
Okay, that's
chat
fine.
and YouTube chat are saying Raz goaded for this take, Raz blah blah blah. So I will concede here because I'm getting tomatoes thrown at me while I'm on stage, and so this is the moment where I have to leave. But I whatever. I appreciate you calling in with the take, Shawn, and for sparking the conversation. I'm obviously not always going to be on the same side of the coin as Twitch chat and YouTube chat, but I appreciate the call. Is there anything
not
you want
always
to add?
a good side to get on. Yeah. Well, no. To add just that, I also want to like tie it back into MSI and how like I do think with Faker's like shaky performance and everything right now, like the people that we should be focused on are like Chovy and Knight. And shout out to Raz for being the first person to ever put Knight on my radar. You know, back when it was Young Miracles and everything, with the likes of like B-Boy and stuff. But that's pretty much where I'll wrap it up. I'll just kind of give my shout outs now if it's okay.
Sure.
So shout out to all three of you. Travis, I do love the content that you've been doing for all these years. Obviously 66 months of supporting. I still find it to be something I enjoy and want to support. Shout out to CeeLol. Right now we're in the midst of our collegiate championship. We got some banger games. Hawks and Grapes and all the people at the Salty Runback for doing all the work that they've done. Then I have a lot of quick shout outs. Clerky, Josh Sides, NovaBot, Yanni, Zoo, people over at FlyQuest.
This is the Oscars music playing you out.
Exactly. Thank you. Papa Smithy, Spawn, Karen Moser.
All right. He must have disconnected. Thank you. Thank you
the red
for
light was on.
the conversation. All right.
Oh, man.
Let's move on to another topic where I won't get yelled at by my own chat.
We've got one more caller. The other one was a scouting question, which we're not taking. There wasn't a lot of I think this team's gonna win MSI, even though I asked. Anyway.
Cool.
Here we go.
Yeah. Just so let this stand, and let me say this so that folks know. Whenever people are like, wow, they didn't even talk about who's going to win MSI, or they didn't talk whatever, we can only pull the calls that we get offered. And I think a lot of the Hotline League audience is just not tuning into MSI. Viewership on a lot of the Hotline League stuff has been down for MSI, and it happens every year. Like, I think the North American audience just doesn't tune in as much. And I know a lot of you are, because you're the ones that are still here watching the live show and or listening to the podcast, but I think MSI is just a rough event for the North American audience.
It's 5 hours till the games, like even tonight. I'm staying up, but I know I'm in the minority, you know?
Yeah, and I think that people will
have
stay
jobs
up.
and schools.
Yeah.
I think people will stay up for Worlds games in a way that they won't for MSI games, is I think my impression.
That's respectable, even if MSI is better format. Anyway, continue.
If I had a job and going to school, I'm not staying up. I'm sorry, man. I'm
it's
sticking
true.
to my schedule.
Those are VODs. I used to mute the hashtag on Twitter and then watch afterwards.
All right. We got Zemelci here. Zemelci, what do you want to talk about on the show?
So the take that I have is an absolute copium take, so I hope you're all ready. But the take is that if, and this is a big if, but if TL do manage to beat T1, then I think they have a decent shot at winning MSI, and I think the same is true of G2 if they manage to beat Top Esports. The reason being that the conditions required for TL to be capable of beating T1 are the same conditions that would be required for TL to go on a run and like be in the conversation to win MSI.
Calls like this are why, like this, whenever this show gets posted to Reddit, it just all the comments are just fucking flaming the shit out of it. You know.
I'm so happy you signed up for this.
Look, you said that you wanted something spicy, and I think this is spicy.
The spicy
and I've got
call,
other spicy.
The spicy one was the TL has a 25%, and then eventually
50.
upgrade to
Up to
60% chance
Up
to
to-
beat
yeah.
T1.
So this is the thing. I'm not saying that TL has a like 50% chance of beating T1. I don't like. I'm on the like camp of I think that TL are probably going to get like a bit hammered, and it will be very sad. That said, the argument that I would make here is that like if like the things that TL would need to do to win a series against T1 are have a strong enough early game and then be in a position where they can translate that early game, like either just coming out even or having a point where they come ahead, and translate that into a state where they're consistently winning the game. And so if they are if they manage to do that against T1, and in a case where like T1 are in a weakened state, so they're like, it's not like they're slipping up all over the place like FlyQuest, but they are like making mistakes that can be capitalized on. And so
Zemel,
that can.
this is the most Doctor Strange ass take. There are so many if statements packed into this. You're just like, this is one opportunity. So it's like all these things happen at the same time.
I think we need to play Eminem's like one shot as TL walks out onto the stage here. You got one shot.
But like I do, it's the case. Like, I'm not saying that it's likely that they beat T1. However, if they do, the things that like would be required for them to beat T1 would have the confidence, I think, to then replicate that in other games against other LCK LPL teams. And as was being discussed in the call earlier, this is the tournament in which we have seen the most of LCK LPL teams looking unstable, giving opportunities for teams against them. And so it's like it's I'm not saying that it's a likely thing, but it is like, if you are going to create a perfect storm of conditions for it to happen, this is pretty close.
I agree,
then,
because
what sucks? Whoa, okay. Go.
Travis wants clicks this episode.
The premise is, if TL beat T1, then they should have the confidence to replicate this against other people or other teams because they feel like it's happened. And I agree, because I think if I was TL and I beat T1, I'd be like, all right, whatever that Vietnamese match fixing ring, it has spread and gone international, and boys, we could beat anyone now, because that thing is out all over the place. It's hit Korea, it might hit China. We're gonna have to see, but it's looking like we have this. So, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so yes, if they beat T1, can they win the whole thing?
Circumstance.
Yes, if they beat T1, I will consider the possibility that they can win all of MSI. Because the if they is doing a lot of work there, and so I think with this take, like, sure, if they beat T1, yeah, well, fuck it, let's just win the whole event.
I mean, T1 is a tournament favorite. I think saying like, hey, if you take down a tournament favorite, by law of transitive properties, you are now a tournament favorite and you can win. I mean,
they weren't even my tournament favorite going into this, which is crazy.
They weren't. I had BOG as mine, but I saw T1 play early in the tournament. I actually thought T1 was going to win, and then they went up against BOG and it was not good. So
even after BLG fucking up massively in their first series, I was still puffing cope and saying, dude, look, they just completely disrespected PSG.
They really
had like
did.
an 8K gold lead.
They really did.
Threw it down the drain and then fucking tilted off their minds in the next few. I was like, crazy.
Yeah. I went through the VODs today and I was like, oh my God, both games that they lost were absolutely unlosable at certain points and they just decided to lose. Like, it was really fixable, right? So, yeah. I actually did kind of write off that 3-2, but I still thought that T1, like, they matched up so well against BLG. It was just Knight was like, I think Knight and the Yagao swap was huge for, honestly, both of those teams. Like, I feel like Yagao fits JDG so much better and had a really good split. And Knight, like, is exactly what BLG needs in the mid lane to fit their team identity, But that's kind of like getting off topic. If TL were to take down T1, I will say, from a team perspective, you have nothing else to fear in the tournament. You are playing on house money, So I do think, like, it makes the rest of your matches a lot easier and less intimidating. I still don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I think T1 3-0s them, but if that were to happen, like, in theory, you take down one of the better teams in the tournament and you have nothing else to fear. You have nothing else to lose. Like, I don't know. You get team buff, mental buff. Who knows?
So here's where I think it doesn't happen. The conditions to beat T1 is
Yeah.
you have to really capitalize on how Faker's playing right now in the mid lane.
Yep.
And if APA does have a monstrous laning phase and is able to take down Faker, great. And also the drafting from T1 has been noticeably bad. And it really, they needed to deprioritize some of their picks. There was one time where they went Camille, which I don't even think is a great pick from Keria. And then they picked it into Poppy. Like, some of their picks into Poppy was just pretty rough. It took them a while for them to move away from Twisted Fate into the Yasuo pick, even though he's shown it in game 1. And then I think their Senna Tom Kench priority was kind of exposed a bit. And then they were slow to move off these things. So I think their drafting versus G2 was noticeably bad. But that was because G2 is probably just the best drafting team. Like, they are very flexible.
They only play OP champs, man. Like, I swear to God, Livia is broken in some scenarios. Like, Poppy's a broken champ that's bad in the meta. They're not playing a jungle, they're playing a top sport. It's actually so based. Like, I do really respect it. Yeah.
Their drafting is really good. Now, they do still make mistakes.
Yeah.
But I don't think Team Liquid are going to be that team. Now, if they do end up having a great draft throughout that series that takes them out, and drafting is not about like, oh, the coach is and all these things. Like, it's about like what a player can conceivably play and what they've been practicing. Now,
Skype time.
We lost.
Yeah,
we lost you, Raz.
One
last Skype trip.
Yeah, I got you. If you take down T1 and you showcase that your ability to draft was stronger than T1 and that you can abuse mid and maybe top lane, but mostly mid, you still have incredible laners in both BLG and Genji that are not going to show those same weaknesses. So, and they're better at drafting. So I think that one's too tough. But still, if they beat T1, you got to start believing. You have to. Yeah.
You got nothing else to lose. I mean, like, people still believe in G2 when they beat T1 5 years ago, Like, that was a really impressive takedown. Like, G2 for me was like, that was a coin flip of a match going into that tournament, Like, I thought G2, like, they had a legitimate chance to beat T1. There were a lot of people predicting them, and rightfully so, and they did it. And they are still, like, they're trying to re-achieve what they did so many years ago. Obviously, it's very different now, but man, like, again, like, if you take down that org, that is probably the biggest accomplishment that you can have in the league, regardless of, like, what kind of form they're in. I don't think that they are the favorites or in the best form of this tournament, but you are taking down the gold standard, right? So it would be huge, but I don't think there's a world where
Raz and Cubby
are hoping to get games.
If TL win MSI, does that make their win against T1 the second biggest upset in League of Legends history?
That'd be true.
What's the biggest one?
Them winning MSI?
Okay.
Yeah. I think so.
Probably.
Anyways, Zemelci, thank you for the spicy take. Do you think we need to
That's
add
a great ass
anything
take.
you want to add here?
It's a heater.
In terms of the take, or is this shout outs?
In terms of anything we didn't address.
Both.
Well, so on the take side, as someone in Twitch chat brought out, I think this exact take applies with the same logic to G2, but I don't and the only thing I'd say there is the odds are slightly higher, both because I think top esports, as much as I love Mako, have looked slightly more inconsistent than T1. Although how you measure that is beyond me. But so I think the same applies to G2 and that it's possibility there, but in both cases the odds are very low. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Shout out. It's the first time I've been able to call in for 6+ months. Because usually I can't talk this late at a non-whispering volume anymore. So that's pretty cool. But I should be able to call in next week, and I have an extremely spicy non-MSI take, which I do think needs
You're trying to
addressing.
queue yourself in the shout out section. You're trying to queue up your next. week's
Travis,
take?
I really want to talk about this take because I think that League fans need to get over themselves on a certain topic.
Ooh. What is it? Tease it. Throw it out there.
Oh, okay. The topic is that League fans need to get over their older sibling syndrome when it comes to Valorant.
Thanks so much for the call. We'll catch you next time. All right.
I'll say, Valorant, they have ranked 5s in which you can play into their major tournaments, and Riot removed that, and they have Flex Queue. Fuck Flex Queue. That's Flex Queue is code for I can have a beer and play this queue.
Yeah, I did a whole video about it. They have something called Premiere Mode, which is huge.
It's sick. It's sick.
All right. So
salty.
first off, apologies to everybody who made it this far in the show and had to listen to audio issues with Raz, who I appreciate Raz you
Travis.
doing all this stuff. It's totally not your fault.
It's
I
worth-
really appreciate it.
We talk about this all the time, that Skype is the superior product. And
Yeah,
Discord
well,
is the problem.
this episode has proven it. But I know we've had some audio stuff this episode, so I'm sorry. It's something we're always working on, and it's seems to be a thing that never solves itself, but I'm constantly battling. I promise it would be far worse if I wasn't putting an effort to that. But yeah, let's go ahead and do a round of plugs and shoutouts. Cubby, what you got?
Shout out CLOL. I got to catch up on my VOD reviews because I was co-streaming CLOL, but I had a lot of fun co-streaming those matches. And shout out to the 6 schools that are remaining. And then besides that, shout out to MSI and the team. I know it's a hell of a sprint for you guys to wrap up. I hope you're getting some good food in Raz and enjoying being back in I believe territory that's somewhat familiar for you in the past. So I hope that you guys are. I know you guys work your ass off, but I hope it also is being celebrated with some good food at the end of the day.
Raz, what do you want to shout out here?
Appreciate
You
that.
got work in a couple hours.
So shout out to, the entire MSI crew. It's been enjoyable. I've been loving it. Shout out to chat, people in in the U.S., America, and North America as a whole that is deciding to kill their entire sleep schedule to watch the broadcast. That's crazy. And even just like deciding to put time out of your day to watch the VODs is another thing. So big shout out to you guys on that one. I've loved coming back to China a little bit. I've actually been teaching myself some Mandarin because that's something that I've been kind of like, I missed quite a bit. Being able to talk to friends since I've been here, and I've seen a lot of old friends since my time in the LPL. There's a lot of people that I've connected with that I've been meaning to. Really enjoyed that. But yeah, let's take it easy. It's been a fun show.
Yeah. As for me, shout out Raz again for doing the show. I know how exhausting international events can be, so the fact that you were down to do this is awesome. I'll be in Vancouver this weekend for Command Fest. Please come out if you do decide to buy a ticket to attend, or I think you can even get in for free. But if you decide to buy a ticket to attend, you can use my name, Travis, to save some money on that. I'll also be at DreamHack Dallas in 2 weeks, and I think the code to save money on that is Travis Gafford, so the full name. But both those things are cool as stuff that I'm doing ahead of LCS returning, which Riot officially announced is happening on June 15th. So that will be swell. It is my birthday on Sunday. Thank you to everybody who supports my content and lets me do all this stuff, because I don't think I would have thought that I'd be turning 35 and I'd still be able to be doing this.
Damn.
I look forward to your birthday get together, Travis.
Yes.
Fun, like it was last year. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, shout out to Numi, who I've invited to my birthday thing, and she has not RSVP'd. So
I RSVP'd, Travis.
I know you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's just nice whenever people who I work with decide to support. I would invite you, Raz, but you're not going to be here in time. Oh, she's going to be in San
Otherwise, I
Francisco.
would've-
Interesting
I
that
would've
she
been there for
decided to
sure.
schedule a trip while I was traveling, or while I was during my birthday.
Mhm.
And shout out to Frank over on YouTube who says this is the first time they've been able to watch Hotline League live. We're going to stick around on stream for a little bit afterwards, or I will. These two are going to leave, but that's Hotline League. We'll see you next Monday to talk about whatever happens in the finals of MSI, and also we'll start previewing some LCS stuff. Maybe that's when we'll talk about these Dignitas changes, because we didn't even talk about it. Bye.
Genji win.